The world of the Huntsman, Warriors had captivated audiences with its gritty landscapes, fierce battles, and deep, mystical lore. Fans had spent countless hours immersed in the tales of the enigmatic Huntsman, a lone warrior battling both monsters and the corruption that threatened to unravel the kingdom. Now, as the credits rolled on the finale of Season 1, a question lingered in the air: will there be a Season 2? It all began in a kingdom long forgotten by time. The Huntsman, known only by his mysterious title, had ventured into the depths of cursed lands to confront an ancient evil. With the help of an unlikely band of warriors, a skilled archer, a cunning mage, and a disgraced knight, he fought back monstrous foes and confronted the dark secrets of his past. Yet, the final episode left more questions than answers, as the ancient evil was revealed to be something much more than the Huntsman had ever anticipated. The cliffhanger ending showed the Huntsman facing an unknown adversary, his sword drawn, eyes blazing with a mix of fear and determination. As the screen went black, fans were left with an aching desire to know what came next. The demand for more. As the weeks went by after the finale, fans flooded social media with their theories, memes, and pleas for more. Reddit threads were dedicated to the mysteries of the show. Did the Huntsman survive the final battle? Was his ally, the mage, secretly harboring a dark agenda? Was the ancient evil truly defeated, or had it merely taken another form? It wasn't long before rumors started circulating. Some fans claimed to have seen production companies discussing the possibility of a Season 2. Others believed the finale was too conclusive to warrant a follow-up. But as more interviews with the creators and cast surfaced, it became clear, the Huntsman, Warriors was not done just yet. Behind closed doors, the creators, who had meticulously crafted the world of the Huntsman, had always planned for a larger story arc. While Season 1 had primarily focused on setting the stage and establishing the core conflicts, the creators had hinted at grander tales to unfold. In an exclusive interview with the show's director, they revealed that the initial season was always intended to introduce the characters and the world, and that the true heart of the saga was yet to be explored. "We've only scratched the surface," the director confessed, a glint of excitement in their eyes. The Huntsman's journey is far from over. Season 1 laid the foundation, but there's so much more to tell. We're still in the process of crafting a storyline that will not only answer questions but introduce new challenges that will push our heroes to their limits. However, there was one major obstacle in the way: funding. The series had received critical acclaim, but its high production costs, particularly the breathtaking visual effects needed for the mythical creatures and epic landscapes, had put a strain on the studio's budget. Would investors be willing to pour more money into the series for a second season? The call of the fans. As whispers of Season 2 spread, the fans rallied like never before. Hashtags like #BringBackTheHuntsman and #Warriors Season 2 trended worldwide. Fans organized watch parties, discussed theories on podcasts, and sent countless letters to the studio, urging them to continue the story. The cast, too, had made it clear they were on board. The Huntsman himself, played by the beloved actor Nathaniel Woods, shared his enthusiasm for returning to the role. "This character means a lot to me. There's so much more to explore in his journey, and I think the fans are going to be blown away by what's to come." Even the supporting cast was eager to return, teasing what might come next. "We've only begun to explore the complexities of our characters," said Eleanor Lane, who played the cunning mage Lyra. "Season 2 will delve deeper into the magic of the world, and fans will get a taste of powers and dangers they've never seen before." The announcement. Then, one fateful evening, the announcement came. The studio revealed that, after careful consideration and a surge of fan support, The Huntsman, Warriors was officially greenlit for Season 2. The news was met with an eruption of celebration across social media. Fans flooded the studio's social accounts with messages of gratitude and excitement. The cast and crew shared heartfelt posts, expressing their gratitude for the fans who had made Season 2 possible. "We couldn't have done this without you," said Nathaniel Woods in a post shared by the official Huntsman, Warriors account. "Season 2 is coming, and we're ready to bring you the next chapter of the Huntsman's journey. Get ready for even more battles, magic, and secrets. A new adventure awaits." As the buzz continued to build, fans eagerly began speculating about what would happen in Season 2. Would the Huntsman face his past in a new, unexpected way? Would new allies join the group, or perhaps old foes rise again? The potential for the story seemed endless, and the anticipation was palpable. But for now, fans would have to wait. The Huntsman's journey was far from over. and with Season 2 on the horizon, the kingdom was about to be plunged into even darker, more dangerous depths. The battle for the realm was far from won, and only the bravest warriors would survive what lay ahead. With the announcement of the Huntsman, Warriors Season 2's renewal, the world of the show was suddenly alive with energy. Fans buzzed with excitement, poring over every detail of the first season to glean any hints for what might happen next. Some began to theorize that the unknown adversary from the cliffhanger wasn't just another villain but a pivotal character tied to the Huntsman's past, a secret organization, perhaps, or a former ally turned enemy. Others wondered if the ancient evil that seemed to have been defeated would rise again in an even more dangerous form. For the creators, the pressure to deliver a second season that would exceed expectations was intense. They knew that the stakes had been raised, and the expectations from both fans and critics were higher than ever. Building the world, new threats and characters. As the writing team began to plan out Season 2, they knew they had to take the story to a much larger scale. What made the Huntsman, Warriors stand out was its balance between intimate character development and expansive world building. In Season 1, the mystical lands were just beginning to come to life, and the mysteries of magic and the ancient forces were only hinted at. But Season 2 would dive deeper into the heart of the conflict. The Huntsman would face not only physical battles but also mental and emotional ones, confronting truths about his past that would shatter everything he thought he knew. The writers revealed that the unknown figure in the finale was, in fact, someone from the Huntsman's past, someone he had once trusted but had betrayed him in the darkest of ways. Their return would force the Huntsman to reckon with his greatest regret. Meanwhile, the rest of the warriors would undergo their own journeys of growth. Lyra, the mage, would discover a long-lost spellbook tied to forbidden magic, an artifact that could change the very fabric of the world itself. And in an unexpected twist, the disgraced knight, Roderick, would be given a chance at redemption, but only at the cost of an impossible sacrifice. But it wasn't just the returning characters that would steal the show. Season 2 would introduce new figures, some allies, some enemies, and some whose true intentions remained hidden. A new faction of mysterious warriors, known as the Order of the Shadow Fang, would emerge, their goals unclear but undoubtedly dangerous. Their leader, a cold and calculating individual, would challenge the Huntsman's sense of justice, questioning the very ideals he stood for. Expanding the scope, the stakes get higher. The second season would not only delve deeper into the personal stakes of the Huntsman and his companions, but the fate of the entire kingdom would hang in the balance. The ancient evil that had been a shadow in Season 1 would rear its head once again, but this time, it wouldn't be defeated so easily. A force more ancient, more insidious than anything they had encountered before, would rise. This new antagonist, known as the Wraith King, was said to be an entity as old as the world itself, capable of manipulating time, space, and the very essence of life. Legend spoke of his ability to unravel the fabric of reality, twisting it until nothing remained but chaos. The Huntsman's skills, already formidable, would be pushed to their absolute limits, but there was a secret to defeating this new foe, a weapon or artifact that could potentially strip him of his power, and the key to unlocking it might lie within the Huntsman himself. The magical forces that had been barely touched upon in the first season would now take center stage. The ancient magics of the kingdom, long believed to be extinct, would resurface, leading the warriors into hidden realms and forgotten temples. These realms, however, would not come without their own dangers, traps that bent reality, creatures born of nightmares, and tests of will that could break even the strongest minds. Behind the scenes, crafting the epic, Season 2 wasn't just going to be bigger in terms of story. The creators were committed to making sure the visuals and action sequences would set a new bar for epic fantasy television. The success of Season 1 had shown that audiences were drawn not only to the compelling characters and intricate plot but also to the show's cinematic quality. The stunning landscapes, breathtaking monster designs, and breathtaking battle sequences would all return, only this time, they'd be more ambitious. The director, along with the visual effects team, shared their excitement in a behind-the-scenes video. "We're going all in this time," the director said. "The battles are going to be grander, the creatures more terrifying, and the stakes higher than ever. We've learned so much from Season 1, and now we're going to push ourselves to deliver something truly groundbreaking." The team also promised that Season 2 would explore darker, more mature themes, dealing with loss, sacrifice, and the grey areas of morality. While the first season had introduced the characters and laid out the stakes, Season 2 would delve into the emotional complexities of each warrior. There was talk of deeper character arcs, especially for Lyra, whose magical abilities would have increasingly dangerous consequences. Fans could expect emotional moments that would leave them reeling, moments of betrayal, heartbreak, and impossible choices. The countdown begins, with the studio announcing that production was officially underway. The countdown to Season 2 had begun. The first teaser trailers dropped, featuring glimpses of new characters and brief shots of the Huntsman battling shadowy figures under the pale light of an eerie moon. Fans dissected every frame, looking for clues about the new arc. Was the Wraith King truly unstoppable? Was there a dark secret hidden within the Huntsman's soul that would make him the key to saving, or destroying, the realm? The wait for Season 2 was long, but the fans' enthusiasm only grew stronger with each passing day. The Huntsman Warriors fandom had become a movement, a community united by their passion for the story. They would wait, eagerly, knowing that the next chapter in the Huntsman's journey was about to unfold, and with it, a new era of warriors, magic, and adventure. As the premiere date for Season 2 approached, one thing was certain: the kingdom had not seen the last of its protector. The Huntsman's battle was just beginning. As the premiere date for the Huntsman Warriors Season 2 loomed ever closer, anticipation reached a fever pitch. The fandom, once scattered across forums and social media threads, had become a collective force, each fan eagerly speculating about the next chapter in the saga. Leaked set photos, cryptic hints from the cast, and cryptic interviews only stoked the fires of curiosity. Yet, even as excitement soared, there was still one question on everyone's mind: how would the Huntsman's story unfold? A world transformed. Season 2 opened with an eerie silence, one that spoke volumes about the state of the kingdom. The world that had once been filled with hope and life had now fallen into a quiet, oppressive darkness. The ancient evil that had been lurking beneath the surface in Season 1 was no longer a mere myth. Its reach was tangible, and its consequences far more severe than the Huntsman and his warriors could have ever anticipated. The Wraith King, now fully revealed, was not the typical villain they had encountered in the past, a being of smoke and shadows. His presence twisted the very air around him. His armies, composed of corrupted souls and unnatural creatures, spread like a plague, engulfing the once thriving cities of the realm. Where lush forests had stood, barren wastelands now lay. Villages were either abandoned or overrun by monstrous forces. The very magic that had once empowered the kingdom had turned against its people, leaving them vulnerable. At the center of it all stood the Huntsman, still bearing the scars from his first battle against the darkness, but now with the weight of the world on his shoulders. He had seen his companions face betrayal, death, and the harsh realities of war, and yet, the true test was still ahead. The season's opening moments made one thing clear: the Huntsman was no longer simply fighting for survival, he was fighting for the soul of the kingdom. The Shadow Fang and the Huntsman's past. A significant turning point came when the Huntsman crossed paths with the Order of the Shadow Fang, the enigmatic group that had been introduced in the build-up to the season. Led by a cold, calculating figure named Melrose, the Shadow Fang were a faction that appeared to share a common goal with the Huntsman, ridding the world of the Wraith King. But as with all things in the world of the Huntsman Warriors, appearances were deceiving. Melrose, it was revealed, had a direct connection to the Huntsman's past, a connection that would unravel everything the Huntsman thought he knew about his origins. It turned out that Melrose was once a fellow warrior, a trusted ally who had fought alongside the Huntsman in their earlier years. But when a catastrophic battle had forced them to make an impossible choice, Melrose had been consumed by power and ambition, leading him to a dark path where he abandoned his comrades. His goal in aligning with the Huntsman was clear: he sought to reclaim an ancient relic, known as the Heart of the Fallen, which could either seal the Wraith King's power or unleash an unimaginable horror. The problem? The heart could only be wielded by one with the bloodline of the original monarch, a bloodline that the Huntsman carried unknowingly. The realization hit hard, both for the Huntsman and for the audience. The Huntsman himself was not just a warrior, he was heir to a throne he had never known existed. The temptation of power, the reveal of the Huntsman's royal bloodline set the stage for an internal conflict that would define the season. Throughout Season 1, the Huntsman had been a man of principle, a protector of the people, a soldier of justice, and a reluctant leader. But now, with the knowledge of his true lineage, he was faced with the seductive temptation of power. Could he embrace his destiny as the kingdom's true ruler, or would the weight of such a responsibility destroy him? As Melrose made his case for why the Huntsman should join the Shadow Fang, He wove a compelling narrative. The kingdom was broken, its rulers had failed, and the people needed someone with the strength to lead. The Wraith King's reign could only be stopped by a monarch who understood the cost of power. But the Huntsman was not easily swayed. He had seen too much suffering, too much corruption, to believe in easy solutions. His true challenge, however, was not only to defeat the Wraith King but to hold on to his humanity in the face of overwhelming darkness. He could not afford to become what he hated most, the very tyrant the kingdom had feared. Lyra's dark journey. Meanwhile, Lyra, the mage, found herself walking a darker path. The spellbook she had discovered in the first season had led her to more forbidden magic, and with each incantation she unlocked, the consequences grew more dire. The magic was ancient, too ancient, and it came with a price that Lyra was only beginning to understand. Her connection to the forces of nature began to warp, turning her powers into something uncontrollable and destructive. It was clear that Lyra's journey would be one of redemption or ruin. She had always been portrayed as a cautious and intelligent character, but in Season 2, the stakes were much higher. Her connection to magic was becoming increasingly dangerous, not only to herself but to the people she swore to protect. Would she succumb to the allure of limitless power, or would she find a way to use her magic to save the kingdom from the Wraith King's wrath? Roderick's redemption. Roderick, the disgraced knight, had a redemption arc of his own. Once an outcast and a source of tension among the warriors, Roderick was given the chance to prove his worth once again. As the Huntsman's most loyal friend and ally, Roderick played a crucial role in protecting the group, often at the cost of his own safety. But his greatest test came when he had to confront his own sins from the past, the mistakes that had led to his fall from grace. In Season 2, Roderick would be forced to make a devastating choice, to continue fighting for the Huntsman's cause, or to sacrifice himself to save the kingdom from an unimaginable fate. His journey would bring about one of the season's most emotional moments, as Roderick's ultimate sacrifice would solidify him as one of the truest heroes of the story. The final battle, a kingdom on the edge. As Season 2 built to its inevitable conclusion, the final battle against the Wraith King loomed ever closer. The kingdom, ravaged by war and corruption, was on the edge of collapse. The Huntsman and his warriors were not only fighting for survival, they were fighting for the soul of their world. Would they be able to stop the Wraith King, or would they fall to the same darkness that had claimed so many before them? With alliances tested, betrayals looming, and the very fabric of reality at stake, the final episodes promised a battle of not just swords and magic, but of wills. The fate of the kingdom would come down to a single, heart-stopping decision. Will the Huntsman save the realm, or will he lose everything to the darkness that threatens to consume it? The dawn of a new era. The first episodes of Season 2 had proven that the Huntsman, Warriors was no longer just a story of action and adventure. It had evolved into a deeper, more complex tale of power, legacy, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. The stage was set for an unforgettable showdown, and the stakes were higher than ever. As the credits rolled on the penultimate episode, fans were left breathless, eagerly awaiting the final chapter. The kingdom's fate was still in the balance, and with it, the future of the Huntsman himself. Would he rise to become the king he was destined to be, or would the darkness consume him, and all that he fought for? Only time would tell. As the season finale of The Huntsman, Warriors loomed ever closer, the story grew darker, more intense, and emotionally charged. The stakes had never been higher. The battle against the Wraith King was coming to its head, and the fate of the entire kingdom rested on the shoulders of the Huntsman and his ragtag group of warriors. The tension was palpable, and the fans, who had followed the series through its twists and turns, braced themselves for a conclusion that promised to be as shocking as it was inevitable. The Wraith King's unleashing. The Wraith King, with his terrifying power to manipulate the very essence of life and death, had been a force of fear throughout the season. His presence was felt in every battle, every corner of the kingdom, and every shadow that crept across the land. But the true horror of his power was revealed in the penultimate episode, when it was uncovered that the Wraith King wasn't simply a being of darkness, he was the embodiment of the kingdom's own brokenness. Lady Selaya's ambitions ran deeper than simply claiming the throne for herself. She sought to revive the ancient rights of monarchic rule, restoring the power of the old bloodlines and the magic that came with it. To do this, she needed to find the ancient artifacts of the kingdom's first rulers, relics that could potentially grant her the power to rule not just the kingdom, but the lands beyond. The artifacts had been hidden for centuries, lost in time, and their true power had been forgotten. But with Lady Selaya's influence growing, the huntsman would find himself locked in a dangerous race against time to prevent the artifacts from falling into the wrong hands. Lyra's legacy. Though Lyra had sacrificed herself to save the kingdom, her legacy was far from over. In Season 3, the surviving members of the team began to understand the full extent of her connection to the magic of the realm. Her bond with the ancient spellbook had left a mark on her companions, and her death had inadvertently unlocked new pathways to forbidden magic, magic that could either heal or destroy. The huntsman, still grieving her loss, began to investigate the nature of the magic Lyra had sought to control. As he delved deeper, he discovered that the spellbook had been part of an even older prophecy, one that tied Lyra's fate to the very survival of the kingdom. The magic she had unlocked, though dangerous, could be harnessed to undo the chaos caused by the Wraith King's reign, but using it would require immense sacrifice, and it would place the lives of those closest to him at risk. The shadow of Malrose. Malrose, once the leader of the Shadow Fang, had seemingly disappeared after the events of Season 2, but his influence, like a creeping darkness, remained a constant threat. Rumors began to surface that Malrose had forged an alliance with Lady Celia, seeking to combine their forces to overthrow the current fragile order and reclaim the power that they both craved. His endgame was unclear, but his involvement in the rising unrest was undeniable. As the huntsman and his remaining companions prepared for another battle, they were forced to confront the legacy of their own choices. Had they truly defeated the darkness, or had they merely shifted it into a new form? The line between ally and enemy had blurred, and the huntsman was once again forced to trust the very people who had once betrayed him. His path was no longer one of honor alone, it was a delicate balance between strategy, trust, and survival. Roderick's return. Roderick, the disgraced knight, had disappeared after the battle with the Wraith King. Many believed he had perished in the chaos of the final fight, but the truth was far more complicated. Roderick had been grievously injured, and for a time, he had struggled with the consequences of his past actions. However, the wounds he bore were not just physical. He wrestled with the question of whether he could ever truly redeem himself. In Season 3, Roderick's journey of redemption took center stage. Having survived against all odds, he reappeared at a crucial moment, when the huntsman found himself at odds with his own sense of justice. Roderick, scarred both inside and out, sought to atone for his past mistakes by aiding the huntsman in the battle against the Order of the Shattered Crown. His path would not be easy, and his actions would not go without consequences, but his return would provide the huntsman with the strength and support he so desperately needed. The future of the kingdom. As the first few episodes of Season 3 unfolded, it became clear that the world of the huntsman, warriors had grown far more complex. The kingdom, though freed from the Wraith King's tyranny, was in the midst of a political and magical upheaval. The warriors who had fought so hard to protect it were now tasked with rebuilding a world that had been shattered by war and betrayal. But in the midst of that rebuilding, new threats rose, threats that tested their bonds, their loyalty, and their very ideals. Lady Celia's rise to power, the secrets of Lyra's legacy, the return of Roderick, and the ever-present shadow of Malrose were just the beginning. The kingdom had been saved from one evil, but it was clear that the battles ahead would be even more treacherous. As the huntsman stood once again at the crossroads of fate, he was reminded of one simple truth: the fight was far from over. The winds of change were stirring once again, and the kingdom's future rested in the hands of those who would dare to challenge the darkness. The huntsman's journey had come full circle, and a new chapter, one of war, betrayal, and redemption, was about to begin. And so, the saga continued.